If we struggle with sales, we struggle even more with marketing because we have less resources to do marketing. With the limited resources that you might have, there's a few things that I think you can do.
Because of the data that we've been collecting for 20 years, we have an immense amount of knowledge about what makes the best-in-class perform at a higher level.
The majority of our industry, like me, are wildly introverted. So the confidence to go and put ourselves and our business out in the marketplace is a hard thing. It took me many years to get the ability, or just the confidence in myself and my business to want to go and put myself out in the world.
You're talking to the CFO versus the IT manager. Your messaging, your value proposition is totally different.
You can't put a price premium or a value premium on a commoditized service, so how do you decommoditize it, right? And you can only do that by adding value to someone who actually perceives that as value, and that means picking a customer type. We are with Nate Austin, sales director, my notes say, at my tech partner. All right, so you're a sales and marketing coach helping small and medium businesses essentially do sales and marketing better. Well, we've talked a bit about sales, and we've talked a bit about sales with other people today as well. We've talked less about marketing. So what are some easy wins in your view for let's even past MSPs, right? But like business in general, like if you're trying to create whether it's, I guess that's the thing, there's demand gen, there's lead gen. What are the things you think businesses should generally be focusing on or starting with?
Yeah, I think, look, and we just had a session on sales and AI, and we all have limited resources. And this being an MSP, and even small businesses struggle with sales because it's oftentimes owner-led. If we struggle with sales, we struggle even more with marketing because we have less resources to do marketing. And so with the limited resources that you might have, there's a few things that I think you can do. One, you can outsource some of the web design, some of the but not content. Web design, some of those things, because I think that's going to be a waste of your time unless that's just something you're passionate about. Try as an owner, use your expertise to either speak at events or host events where you're speaking, because you are able to, one of the best things that as prospects in our industry, they do not get the benefit of being able to experience our services until after they sign a contract.
Yeah.
And so one of the best ways for them to get that confidence is to experience how you can connect the business dots to the technical problems they have, or the technical dots to the business problems they have. So, and an owner, you're uniquely qualified to do that. So if you can host events that can foster those kinds of conversations and demonstrate your capability, that's going to increase the probability of you closing those clients. The third thing is events. They're the easiest thing to do, like go to a trade show, like host, have an exhibit at a local associations, those kind of associations you want to engage with. That is, and be there, and you have to be there. So as an owner, you have to be present doing that. But that is some of the lowest cost lead gen. Yeah. Again, with the maximum amount of the time that maximizing the time that you have, it's those kind of things, because those are going to be the highest impact, lowest cost, but also demonstrating the unique value that you can bring as an owner in sales and on the marketing side, because you're probably not going to afford to hire a marketing director, a senior person doing that. That's still going to be you. And so you have to carve out this fraction of your expertise and time to be able to deliver it. And those are the things that I would recommend.
These guys are expensive, right?
They are.
And needy. We constantly need validation. Tell me I'm good.
Yeah.
The thing there, though, is with those events is you need to have the personality type where you are not just able to do it, but you're actually a nice person to talk to and interact with, right? Like you need to have the chat.
That's right. Yeah. And on that point, you have to have a call to action. How are you capturing the people that are coming and talking to you? Like have some sort of a giveaway. And the one tip that we learned, by the way, it's gimmicky. But we've learned that, because we used to give out things like, hey, we'll do a co-pilot boot camp for your company, or we'll do some sort of thing that was a company-related engagement, and we got hardly anybody to put their business card in the hat or to sign up for it. Yeah. If we do something that's personal, it's like you as an individual get this thing, right? It could be headphones or whatever it is. But like we found that when you go to a trade show and you're trying to collect people that might be interested to talk to you, that you can at least get them into your nurturing and marketing email campaign, it's got to be something personal. And that's cheaper, which is great, because you could buy a couple $100 thing and get a lot more names than trying to offer a $2,500 service that you're donating for a giveaway.
Nigel Moore, Tech Tribe. All right, nice. So is there something unique about the sales and marketing challenges facing MSPs as opposed to the general market, the wider market?
Oh, good question. Yes.
Okay.
The majority of our industry, like me, are wildly introverted. So the confidence to go and put ourselves and our business out in the marketplace is a hard thing. It took me many years to get the ability, or just the confidence in myself and my business to want to go and put myself out in the world, and to go out and hang a shingle out and try and market and say, hey, we've got this service that might be good for you. And I think that introversion defaultness to geeky technical stuff versus focusing on growth and marketing stuff is prevalent in our industries because it's who we are. We're geeks at heart, and often geeks are introverts. We like sitting behind the tech and understanding the latest tools and whatnot.
Peter Kujawa, VP and GM of Service Leadership.
We spend our days analyzing what's driving successful financial performance.
So in your view, what are you seeing done well to help MSPs actually apply that pricing premium and essentially not get any pushback?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different traits that we teach that converge on that, helping you really. It's not just about identifying the right buyer. It's about making yourself appealing to that buyer, so that when that buyer finds you as an organization, they know that they found the right MSP. And so yeah, target customer profile is one of our 3 most important traits. It's actually the second most important trait that we teach. The most important is having a value creation strategy, understanding as a business owner or business leader what our goal is over the next 5 years, or where we want to take the business and what we're going to invest and what risk we're going to take, and all of the decisions that flow out of that. The second most important trait is target customer profile, and it's directly related to your value creation strategy. If my value creation goal is to take my MSP from being worth, let's say, $4 million this year to 5 years from now being worth $5 million, well, I'm going to have a very conservative growth rate. My whatever TCP I target will be fine. It'll be a pretty slow pace of growth that's required to get me from 4 to 5 million of value. If, on the other hand, my value creation goal is to get from being worth 4 million today to being worth 15 million in 5 years, well, now I have to look at am I going to need to do acquisitions? But B, is my target customer profile one that's going to support that kind of compound annual growth? So for example, if my target customer profile to date has been companies with 25 or less employees, it's going to be a lot harder to hit that aggressive growth target than it will be if my target customer profile is 500 to 1,000 employee organizations. Let's just, for an example, it doesn't mean one's right or wrong. It just means those two really work together. You have to understand your
that
goal.
Everything flows from that, right? You're going to have a different marketing model, a different conversion model, a different everything, because it'll either be higher frequency, faster paced, repeatable, or it'll be more bespoke and somewhat nuanced. Sorry.
But yeah, there's a lot of efficiency gains. There's a lot of gross margin improvement possibilities by narrowing your target customer profile and being very disciplined with it. It allows you to have a singular tech stack, much easier. There's just all sorts of advantages to it. But one of the advantages is that strategic buyer. If you're looking at multiple MSPs, and one MSP has very generic messaging, we're the right company, uptime and security and blah, blah, blah on their website. If the other MSP says, we only work with companies that are between 25 and 75 employees that are based in this geography, that are looking for these specific services and understand the value to their business. Well, if I'm that business,
you feel seen, right?
I found my company.
Yeah. Well, you actually touched on something I think is interesting is one, yes, understand your ICP or TCP, doesn't matter. Have the services to speak to them and deliver to them, but then how to make sure they can find that. Like, how do you be found? And so to your point, the website, part of it, but what keywords are you looking to capture? What events are you going to go to? Like, it's just everything feeds from that, because you got to build it, but then you got to make sure they can find it. So
there's a lot of pre-sales qualification process, the process of doing assessments a certain way. There's a lot of things that reinforce to that customer that I found the right company early on in the sales process. And the process that we have is also really designed to eliminate tire kickers. Is that down here, tire kickers?
Yeah,
is that
a
valid saying?
That's the term.
You don't want to have your sales engineers and your engineers who do pre-sales assessments wasting their time on the prospects that are not really prospects.
Right?
It's very expensive if you do that.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, Ross has always been pretty good at that. I've been a little bit too glass half full, and I think that's actually been a pretty good learning. It's like,
nope, fail fast. You're better to get them out of the way early on.
If we're in it, we're winning it. Otherwise,
That's right.
I mean, you got to have like an SQL conversion rate that's based in reality.
Yeah, of course.
It might be 20%, it might be 40%, but you don't want to be dealing with the single digits. Like, that's just horrific. Yeah.
we do track marketing influenced. Right. So there might be like maybe you as an owner or as a salesperson, you got a referral. And so that's a sales generated lead. But then through the sales process, did that prospect engage in marketing and come to one of your events or something like that? So then that's a marketing influence just to help it can contribute, because then you can start tracking that data. For instance, we tracked this data and found out that if in the sales cycle, which for us on average is 60 days, if that prospect comes to one of our in-person events or we get to have that business conversation, our close rate goes from 70% to 95%. Right. But so we track that marketing influence. So that's now an intentional part of our sales process, is trying to get them to come to one of those events. So I think it's important to understand that.
All right. So Ben, thanks. I think you're number 4 for me today. Day 1, IT Nation.
Who the buyer is and who
Well, that's
the
what I'm
contact
saying.
is,
So
right?
first off, you have to know who sees value in what you do.
Yes.
Or
Yep.
realize that the majority of people don't, and therefore don't do anything. But if there's you can't put a price premium or a value premium on a commoditized service. So how do you decommoditize it, right? And you can only do that by adding value to someone who actually perceives that as value, and that means picking a customer type.
And I think that, when we talk about, putting my marketing hat on, where the buying personas and the messaging, that varies greatly. And that doesn't, whether it's telco or, any service, right? If you're talking to the CFO versus the IT manager, your messaging, your value proposition is totally different. To the IT manager, it might be, hey, we've got your back. We can, when things go wrong, because it's not if, it's when.
Always.
Right? It's IT, things break. So it's about how do we recover from that? How do we actually make sure that the impact is as little to the business? And how does if there is an IT manager, how does the MSP make that IT manager look like a hero to the business?
Yeah.
And I think that's where, if I go back to what I said a second ago around making sure they're offering the right solution from the word go, and that's what we help them with. That solutions architecture, getting it right from the word go.
Yeah.
If they say no, that's on them. But an internet connection isn't just a connection. Right, it's what everything runs over.
Absolutely, it's a means to an end.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if the customer is thinking, from a financial, let's go race to the bottom, then the conversation needs to be different, right? And if we're talking to the CFO, then we're talking business continuity. We're thinking, they've got insurance, right? Well, they should have insurance.
I hope so.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah.
And so it's a different conversation versus the IT manager. So yeah,
we were talking about this at our we call it our TAM Slam. Our technical account managers get together once a year and fly them over from wherever into Sydney, and we're just talking about how we create this super green experience, right? For us, it's like just that, not just doing what you say you'll do when you say you'll do it and all that kind of nice sort of hygiene factor stuff, but actually creating like just a next level super green experience. And you kind of touched on it there, which is make the decision maker look good. And basically just find a way to make them look good in their job. And so that could be that there is no downtime because you already thought about the DR strategy. It could be that your response time and your restoration was so bloody effective, despite it being a fiber cut or whatever. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the key ways to add value. Unfortunately, it's hard to demonstrate that sometimes outside of the bad moments. You know what I mean? Like you kind of need an incident to respond to kind of demonstrate that value. But
well, yeah, I mean, where there's pain, there's kind of that opportunity, I guess. Ideally, you can avoid the pain, but it is IT. I think it is the industry that we live in. I think that a lot of MSPs, MSP as an industry we're tackling issues constantly. So we are on the back foot. So any opportunity that we can make ourselves look like a hero or make the customer look like a hero, then that's a great opportunity.
Something I gave this example the other day as well, which is I remember I had I used to do, obviously this, but for the wider audience, you and I used to basically do the same thing, but my role was New Zealand focused primarily. And one of my New Zealand partners, I think it was like a Friday afternoon, gave me 150 sites they needed qualified by Monday morning. I'm like, all right. So I just did it over the weekend, you get it done. And, that guy and I are great mates still, and we still hang out when he comes over to Australia. And it's kind of because it made him look good. He got given a tough situation, and I said, I'll make that not a problem for you, and you do that. And so, yeah, I mean, you can sometimes do it, but it's in a really tight commoditized market. It's those moments that create the relationships and create the outcomes to get you those. Do you think there's a strong case for AdWords at this point?
We have abandoned all pay-per-click marketing. It has not been successful. We spent thousands of dollars a month on it, and I don't think we got a single MQL last year. So we eventually abandoned it for more content, more events, paying for trade shows. We are doing more like we are doing some YouTube stuff on our YouTube channel. We've developed a lot of videos on our YouTube channel, so we're doing some of those kind of advertising, but it's not the Google typical traditional pay-per-click stuff. We're not doing any of that.
Yeah, we've certainly heard a lot similar feedback, and it seems to be that can work well if it's a more transactional, price-driven kind of market that you're in, or sale that you're trying to make. But the high-value relationship-based selling, it does seem to have run its course a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the data would tell us. Like, I almost don't want that to be the answer, candidly, because I wish I could get leads by spending this money and knowing that if I spend $6,000 a month, I'm going to get 2 leads a month. But it's not happening. It's just not happening. So we definitely decided, and we collaborated with our marketing agency, and they're like, the data doesn't support you spending anymore. Pause, stop it, spend it someplace else.
Yeah,
so
that's where the attribution is clear on that. There are MQLs, there is a spend. That one's pretty binary, right? What we've found is that we're getting plenty of MQLs. We're not getting SQLs. You know, it's once we actually qualify that, it's not particularly pretty. But we're making some steps to fix that, or we're going to save some money and not do it. One or the other.
Platforms go up and down in terms of their costs and their usability, and sometimes like TikTok's in, then Facebook's back in, then Instagram's in, like they all go up and down like a yo-yo, and Google Ads goes up and down. But the reality is, very few MSPs are actually using it, right? Like you because it comes back to that thing of, hey, I don't know it, I don't know how to do it. And it's, again, I've got to put myself out there in the world, and I've got to promote my business. And so the MSPs that are doing it typically have pretty good success without having to do too much work in there, because it's still, people might look at it as a bit of a red ocean, but it's not. It's like paid ads is still a massive blue ocean in the MSP space.
I think for me, it depends on whether or not you've got a genuine differential, like you're bidding on words others aren't, because managed IT or IT support, like that's a good luck in my view.
But it's also the consistency in there, and it's having that multi-touch as well, like the different phases of the funnel. You got the top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. Like a lot of people just say, hey, I'm just going to put up an IT support ad and I'm just going to promote IT support services. That's not what's going to nab a lot of people into your funnel. Typically the top of the funnel, you're wanting to nab them on a particular pain point, like a cybersecurity pain point they've got, or something that's very specific, and not sell them on managed services to start with. Like sell them on a cybersecurity audit or a something very small at the top of the funnel, and then start to move your way down. And too many MSPs that I see are going in for the kill. First date, in for the kill. I'm going in for the kiss first date. Whereas it's a long sales cycle in our game, right? You've got to build that trust, and trust starts from a wide funnel, like opening up a wide funnel and hitting those pain points that people have got, rather than saying, hey, we're an IT support company, do you want to work with us? Which so many ads are still centered along that, like so many of them. In any marketing, the marketing that wins the most is the marketing that puts the humans front and center of it. Whether you're using frameworks like Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey kind of frameworks in your marketing, or whatever frameworks you're working there, if you've got the heroes at the center of the people at the center of the marketing.
I like that book. I think that's always a good way of framing the narratives around your stories.
100%, yeah. But you also always make sure that, I know with the Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, a few people make the mistake of making themselves the hero. And that's a mistake to make.
They misunderstood the point of that book.
Correct.
You're the companion.
Exactly right. You're the guide. Like you're the sage, the guide, whatever you want to be, that's taking the hero along the journey. The hero is your client. Like you're painting your client out to be the hero, and you're there to support them.
Thanks so much, Peter. That was awesome. Really appreciate you coming along and giving us all that info.
Nice to see you guys.
Thanks, Nigel. Good seeing you, mate.
Likewise. Thank you.
Great. Beautiful. Thanks, appreciate it.